Hi, welcome to Season 5, Episode 8 of Everyday NLP Bites. Welcome back if you've been watching or listening to earlier podcasts, and welcome for the first time to some of you. And if you're watching or listening for the first time, my name is Florence Madden. I'm an NLP trainer and coach based in Cumbria in the north of England. I'm also the author of The Intention Impact Conundrum and the co-author of Everyday NLP. Through this season of podcasts, which I've entitled, What Are You Saying?, I have been looking at everyday patterns of speech that might be having an influence on us or other people in a way that we didn't intend. So it's good to notice these and perhaps at times question our use of them. So the one I've chosen to speak about today is what I'm calling fat words. Fat in the sense that these words contain meanings that perhaps we didn't necessarily intend. But what that means is that the person hearing those words may well be taking a very different meaning out of them to the one that we intended. And to quote the German sociologist and philosopher Theodor Adorno, vague expression permits the hearer to imagine whatever suits him and what he already thinks in any case. And sometimes the fact that people might derive a completely different meaning from what we've said matters, and sometimes it doesn't. But the first thing is start to recognize them. I'm sure, like a lot of people, I've been following the news bulletins and following the course of this pandemic. And I've noticed in those news bulletins and conversations the use of these words. And my top three at the moment are common sense, a few weeks ago, substantial meals, and teething problems. Common sense is a word, actually, with all of these, I'm quite certain I have used all of them. Maybe not substantial meal, but I certainly have used all of these, I'm quite sure, in my speech. I suppose it starts to matter when people are being given rules or instructions that they need to follow. And then when there is room for doubt as to what they mean, that leads to confusion. So the first thing is to recognize these words. Very often, these words are adverbs or verbs, processes that have been turned into nouns. And there's kind of a test for these. One is to think, can I hold this thing in my hand? Well, common sense, no, I can't hold that in my hand. Nor can I do that with teasing problems, nor can I do that with words like relationship or communication. And another test for these fat words, these verbs, these processes that have been turned into nouns, is can I put the words continuous or ongoing in front of them? So you take a word like improvement, continuous improvement. That means something is changing and therefore it is not one fixed thing. Or ongoing relationship. So in NLP, these are referred to, and actually in English grammar as well, these are referred to as nominalizations. They are words, processes, usually verbs or adverbs, that have been turned into nouns. And as I said earlier, sometimes they don't really make any difference in our everyday speech. But when do they? One of the ways in which they can cause a problem, as I've already indicated, is that they are imprecise. So when we talk about relationship or communication or common sense, what does that actually mean? There's a Chinese proverb that says, the tongue can paint what the eyes can't see. So if we want somebody to use their common sense, or we want to improve communication, then what will help is to explain more of what we actually mean by that. Or if we hear other people saying that, rather than thinking, oh yes, I know what they mean, is ask them what they mean, and therefore create more clarity of understanding. The other effect of using these words, whether we are speaking or writing, is that they can make our speech or our writing sound much more formal, perhaps a bit more distant, and it can have a de-energizing effect, none of which we would want if we are speaking or writing about something that we believe to be important. So I could say, or just notice the difference perhaps between me saying, I am walking for a local charity at the weekend, compared to I am doing a walk for a local charity at the weekend. Or another example might be, I am talking to my team about my ideas. Consider how different it sounds for me to say, I am having a talk with my team about my ideas. So the more that we can turn these words back into verbs, perhaps using more ing words, then we are likely to explain better. We are likely to be more energized and engaging in our speech. So I want to finish today on a quote from Billy Cox, the author, who said, "Clarity is power. The more clear you are about what you want, the more likely you are to achieve it." Now there's a motivation. So think about explaining rather than giving an explanation, and consider the difference. So thank you for watching or listening to this podcast, and I'll be along next week with another pattern of speech. In the meantime, if you want to find out more about what I do, the courses that I run virtually or face-to-face when we're able to, you can find all that information on my website, which is www.florencemadden.co.uk. Thank you.